Some rooms are just rooms. Four walls, a ceiling, a floor. You've been in 1,000 of them and forgotten them all before the door swings shut behind you. But then there are other kinds of rooms. Some rooms are just rooms. Four walls, a ceiling, a floor. You've been in 1,000 of them and forgotten them all before the door swings shut behind you. But then there are other kinds of rooms. The dancery was the second kind. It sat below street level on a corner that appeared on no city map and yet seemed to exist at the very center of everything. You went down 7 steps from the sidewalk. 7, like descending into something deliberate. The door was painted the color of old blood. Inside, the dancery breathed. The cigarette smoke moved in slow currents that had nothing to do with the ventilation, curling and uncurling like the fingers of a sleeping hand. The candles on every table flickered in a rhythm that occasionally, almost impossibly, aligned with the beat of the band. The mirrors behind the bar were old in a way that mirrors should not be old, and when you caught your reflection in them, you sometimes saw yourself a half-second later than you should have, as if the glass was thinking about whether to give you back. But the bar was not the heart of the dancery, the heart of the room. A single piano chord struck and allowed to ring into silence was the stage. On any given Thursday through Sunday, it belonged to Charlie Drum's quartet, a man who played piano the way other men breathed, not because he chose to, but because the alternative was not surviving. The encore gods are cruel, if anything. Charlie knew they could make you vanish. Charlie Drum's quartet played on. It was Charlie who first noticed, on that particular Friday in February, that something was wrong in the air in the room. Something off tonight, off the whole room. And it was at precisely this moment, 9:47 in the evening by the clock behind the bar, that the door opened. The door opened, and he came in. Later, in the days and weeks after, when those who remained tried to describe what they had seen, they would all reach for the same word and find it insufficient. Elegant. He was elegant, yes, in the way that a well-designed trap is elegant, in the way that a certain type of darkness is elegant, not the clumsy darkness of a power failure, but the particular darkness that has always been there, patient and precise, waiting for the lesser lights to go out. His footsteps, leather on tile, measured and unhurried, each step falls exactly where it should. He was wearing a suit of deep charcoal gray, cut by someone who understood the body as architecture. His tie was the color of garnets. His hat he removed as he stepped inside, and the gesture was so naturally graceful that 3 women at the bar turned simultaneously to watch it, and then felt vaguely embarrassed by the turning. His face was correct. Not a single feature that was wrong or unfortunate or merely adequate. The jaw had the angle of certainty. The eyes were the color that eyes sometimes are when the light is not quite adequate to determine their color. A deep, shifting hazel that appeared brown or amber or something that had no corresponding word in the English language. He was perhaps 40. He was perhaps ageless. The distinction felt irrelevant in his presence. What was not entirely correct about him was everything else. The way the candles near him burned slightly more yellow than those farther away. The way the smoke in the room curved around him rather than through him, as though combustion had made a collective decision to grant him clearance. The way people nearest to him moved out of his path, not as people move when they see someone coming, but as they move when they feel something. The faint, pre-conscious shift of a body that has registered a signal the mind has not yet received.
What can I get you? What can I get
He
you?
reached the bar. The ambient noise dipped nearest him, as if sound itself was giving him room. Miriam, the coat check girl, watched from her alcove near the entrance.
She had grown up in a house where her grandmother had told her certain things, which Miriam had filed carefully in the back of her mind, in the drawer labeled, "Things I Hope Never to Need." She opened that drawer now. Lord have mercy. Her heel finds the wall of the alcove. She does not move further back, but she does not move forward either. He did not check his coat. He simply moved through the room toward the bar, and the room permitted it. He sat, or rather, created the impression of sitting, and looked at Iggy behind the bar. And Iggy, for the first time in 11 years of tending bar at the dancery, felt the specific, unfamiliar sensation of not knowing what to say. What'll you have? Whatever the house pours to someone it wants to impress. And I'll have a table near the stage.
Eleanor took the stage at 10:15. The spotlight, the gas hiss, warm and close, scattered applause building as she appears. She walked out of the wings the way she always did, not with theatrical bounce, not with calculated sway, but with a stillness that moved. The blue dress caught the light and returned it generously. She reached the microphone and stood before it with the ease of someone standing at their own kitchen window, looking at a familiar view. She closes her eyes. The band begins, a slow, heartbreaking swell. When she sings, it is devastating. 12 seconds of pure voice, wordless at first, before the narrator speaks over it. She sang, and the room stopped. Not literally. The glasses still held their liquor, the smoke still moved, but the room's soul stopped. The conversation ceased, one by one, like lights going out in a city block, until the only sound in the dancery was Eleanor's voice and Charlie's piano beneath it, and the shared breath of 200 people who had momentarily forgotten everything else they were. Eleanor stepped back from the microphone. For one moment, just one, her face held an expression of pure, uncomplicated joy, the kind that arrives before you can apply any of the usual filters to it. Then she looked at the preferred table near the stage. He was watching her with the precise, dispassionate attention of a jeweler evaluating a stone. Not the way the room watched her, that general collective regard she could wear like clothing. This was different. Their eyes met. He did not smile, he simply acknowledged, a tilt of the head. Eleanor stepped off the stage, her heels on the 2 steps down, then on the tile. The crowd parts as she moves. Eleanor told herself afterward that she approached the table because she was curious, that there was nothing inevitable about it. She had told herself easier lies and not entirely believed them either. She reached the table, a chair being drawn. She sits. "You've been watching me."
I know what you're hiding.
The stranger.
Nonsense.
"Everyone was watching you. You noticed me."
And I know you
Eleanor.
won't tell a soul.
"That's a very precise distinction." The stranger. "I am
So it
a very
has.
precise man."
Your move.
A glass placed on the table. Iggy's
Do you
footsteps
understand the
receding.
cost?
"I don't know you."
Impact.
The stranger. "You know
Completely.
exactly what I am.
Do you know what
You
you've
simply
done?
haven't finished deciding whether you're frightened."
I know
Eleanor.
exactly what I've done.
Quietly. "Are you the kind of thing that
I
people should
understand
be frightened
completely.
of?" The stranger.
I know you do.
"Usually, though fear is not what I'm offering you tonight." "What are you
You're
offering?"
in a gilded cage.
$200.
Perhaps.
Silence.
But it's a
The
cage of
crowd
my own
noise
design.
continues around them, oblivious, warm, alive. But Eleanor's silence is complete. Eleanor, finally, very carefully.
Thought he knows to
"Beg your pardon?"
He knows we're here.
The stranger.
How?
"You need $200.
I told him.
The letter in your shoe is from a man named Beaumont, and Beaumont has
This
been
isn't the
patient
first
in the way
time.
that some men
is
are
simply the
patient,
truth of it all.
not because they are generous, but because they enjoy the accumulation of interest, financial and psychological. He will collect in one
Something's
form or
wrong.
another.
Did you
You
hear
know
that?
this.
It's
$200
beautiful.
tonight. The piano, Charlie's quiet playing, hits a chord that seems accidentally exactly wrong. He pauses, adjusts, but the wrong note hangs in the air.
I
Eleanor,
came to offer
slowly.
you a way out.
And what do you want for it? The stranger. A dance. A beat. That's all?
No.
That is never all.
Then it's
But it
decided.
is what I'm asking for. One dance at midnight.
I understand.
You and
the
I
terms.
and whatever the music will
We are
give us.
agreed.
Eleanor,
I remember the days before
I've
the
heard
shadow
about
fell.
bargains like this. The
The
stranger.
sky was a different color.
Of course you have. Your grandmother's grandmother knew a man in Mississippi who accepted one.
You realize
I
that doesn't
remember
just
him
buy a
well.
fortune.
He played guitar.
That buys forever.
A pause that stretches.
By tomorrow
Eleanor,
morning, everything
and
that was
what
already
happens
yours.
to me? The
It is
stranger.
simply a matter of fact,
You
not
dance.
kindness.
You feel something that no amount of money can approximate. And tomorrow morning, you will have $200 and everything that was already yours. Your voice,
Something that I've
your
been
life,
considering.
your debts paid. Eleanor,
It's not so simple.
and the catch. The stranger.
This is the most
gently.
honest thing I know how to
The
tell
catch is always the same. Afterward,
you everything.
you will know that I exist.
I have gone as
You will
far as I
know
can
this
go.
world has
The
a
rest is
depth to
simply
it
out of my
that
hands.
most people are fortunate enough never
Understood.
to perceive. Some
Time
find
has
that
come.
knowledge a gift. Some find it a burden. I cannot control which it will be
Tell
for
me.
you. A very long pause.
Yes.
Eleanor,
I have
almost
decided.
inaudible.
I have
What
decided.
time is midnight? Somewhere in the room, a grandfather clock, one no one has ever been able to locate precisely, chimes 10:30.
90
Three
90 minutes.
slow, resonant
have
strokes. They fade into silence. The stranger. After the chimes. You have 90 minutes to reconsider. He stands, the chair moving on tile, his footsteps moving away. The crowd noise refills the space he vacated like water filling a cup. Eleanor sat at the table for a long moment after he left it. She picked up his glass, the one he had been drinking from, and turned it in her hands. The glass was cold, not room temperature, not slightly chilled from the ice in the room, cold in the way of deep water, in the way of old stone. She set it down, precisely where he had left it, and she did not get up and leave.
Midnight came to the dancery the way inevitability comes to everything. Not as a rival, but as revelation. The 12th chime fades. The band stops mid-number. They will later be unable to explain why. The crowd pauses. In the silence between the 12th chime and what comes next, the dancery holds its breath. He was already at the edge of the dance floor when Eleanor stepped off the stage. Here, his heels on the steps, on the tile, crossing the dance floor. The crowd parts around her, and she walks through the gap like something walking through a dream that has agreed to be walked through. They met at the center of the floor. Here, a pause. Nothing. Complete stillness, so absolute that the ambient hiss of the gas lamps becomes, for a moment, the loudest thing in the room. He extended his hand. The gesture was formally correct and somehow ancient. Not old as in dated, but old as in originating from a time before time had a reliable calendar.
You do.
A gesture that had been made in ballrooms and banquet halls and burning buildings, always with the same implication. Come and see what comes next. Eleanor looked at the hand for one long moment. Here, the bracelet on her right wrist, a tiny chiming sound as it moves. Just once, just quietly. Eleanor took it. And then Charlie Drum began to play. The piano begins, slowly, feeling its way into something. It is not a song anyone recognizes. It is not any song that was written down or published or played anywhere before this moment. From the first measure, it is extraordinary. It sounds simultaneously like the beginning and the end of something. Then Satchel's trumpet enters, threading a melody through the chords that is neither joyful nor mournful, but both simultaneously. Then the bass, the deep low pulse of it, the heartbeat of the whole structure. Charlie played, and the music was the kind of music that has no business existing. It contained within it the particular, unbearable beauty of things that are passing. The last day of summer, the final hour of a life well lived, the moment just before a face you love goes away and becomes a memory. It was music that knew things about you, specific things. Here, the music intensifies, the tempo increasing, the volume building to the point of controlled urgency. The crowd falls completely quiet. The room is watching. Charlie danced. Here, the shuffle of feet on tile. 2 sets, moving in a pattern that does not conform entirely to any recognizable dance of the era. Something older. Something that predates the formalized structures of social dancing by an interval that does not bear thinking about. Charlie danced. The candles behaved incorrectly.
What do you see?
Here, beneath the music,
feels as
a
though we're not
flicker,
alone.
a shift in the ambient hiss of the gas lamps. The quality of light blooms, warmer, more amber, more intense. The mirrors at the bar reflect things that are not quite the room. Not alien things, not terrifying things, just slightly more room, as if reality has been given a second coat. And Eleanor was somewhere else. Not physically. Physically, she was on the dance floor of the dancery in February of 1926. But the part of her that was not a body, the part her grandmother's grandmother had called the deepest name for what a person is, that part was somewhere vast. Here, beneath the music, barely perceptible, the sound of wind across a great open space. Not winter wind, not summer wind, but the wind that moves between what has always been and what is yet to be. It lasts 4 seconds. Then the music reclaims everything. She was seeing things. She saw New Orleans and the house with the green shutters, and her mother at the window looking at something not yet visible, but already felt. She saw the letter in her shoe and understood that it was not only from Beaumont, that it was from everything that had been chasing her since she boarded a train north with $30 and a voice and not much else. She saw Charlie, crying without knowing he was crying, the music moving through him rather than from him. She saw Miriam at the edge of the crowd, hands clasped, lips moving in something that was prayer or its oldest antecedent. And she saw him. Here, the music rises impossibly, reaching the absolute peak of what the instruments can produce and then exceeding it by some mechanism that is not acoustic. She saw him as he was, rather than as he appeared. He was old. Old as the question of what happens in the dark when there is no light. Old as the first person who looked at the world and found it insufficient and wanted something more, and bargained with whatever was listening. He was not malicious, he was appetite. He was the specific, primal hunger that drives things forward through time and consequence, the force that says yes to the beautiful and terrible and unknown. He was looking at her with something that was not warmth and not coldness, simply recognition, the recognition of things that share the quality of seeing, of not looking away. Here, a single, enormous, crashing chord from the piano. The trumpet's note resolves, falling into silence from its great height. The drums stop. The bass plays one final note and lets it ring and ring and ring. And then, complete, total, absolute silence. 5 full seconds. In a room with 200 people in it, this silence is the loudest thing that has ever happened here. The music stopped, and the room came back to itself.
Eleanor was standing alone in the center of the dance floor. Her breathing slow, deep, not frightened, something beyond frightened, which is either the other side of fear or the place you arrive when fear has been fully metabolized. He was gone. Not dramatically, not in smoke or thunder. He was simply no longer present. The preferred table was empty, his glass had vanished, the room retained no impression of his passage, except for the money. In the bag, which had contained only a small mirror, a lipstick, and her room key when she left the pharmacy, were $200 in clean, flat bills. She counts them, not aloud, but you hear the soft sound of the count. Then she closes the bag. All right. She moves off the dance floor, her heels on the tile, slower now, weighted with something that is not grief and not joy, but contains both. Charlie Drum sat at the piano without playing. His hands rested on the keys the way hands rest after something enormous. His face carried the expression of someone who has been to a place from which a full return is not guaranteed. He looked at Eleanor as she passed the stage. Charlie, you all right? Eleanor, after a moment, I don't know yet. Ask me in a week. Charlie,
Will it move through my
quietly,
hands again?
he did something to the music.
Magic.
Yes,
Is it truly
it was the
gone?
best I've ever played. A pause. Charlie, almost inaudibly, is it gone now? Was that the only time it was going to be like that? A long pause. Eleanor considers. I think it's yours now, Charlie. I think it stays. There's a long silence between them. Then Charlie plays the same opening chord of the dance piece, once, slow, filling the room. He lets it ring and decay. He does not play anything else. Miriam was waiting at the stage entrance. Miriam, are you... Eleanor, I'm fine. You don't look fine. You look like someone who went somewhere they can't entirely come back from. You know about that. Miriam, whispering, my grandmother told me. She said, if you ever see it, you walk away. Eleanor, why didn't you walk away? Eleanor, simply, you know why. The money. A beat. Was it worth it? Eleanor, slowly. I'll know when the morning comes and I still have the voice. I'll know when I can still see the same things I saw before, not the new things. New things? A long pause. Eleanor, very quietly. The depth of things. He told me, he said afterward I'd know the world had more depth to it than most people ever perceive. I thought I understood what he meant. I didn't, not until I was in the middle of it. And now I can see it. Even now, standing here, I can see the seams in things, the place where what's visible ends and what's always been there begins. It's not bad. It doesn't feel the way I thought it would. It just feels like knowing. Like when you learn something that changes the way a room looks, and you can't make it look the way it did before. You just carry the knowledge and live in the changed room. Miriam, quietly. That sounds like a price. Eleanor, just as quietly. All prices sound like prices in the dark. Let's see what it sounds like in the morning. Miriam reaches out and takes Eleanor's hand, holds it. The crowd noise around them, still subdued, still finding its way back to ordinary. Eleanor left the dancery at 1 a.m. She climbed the 7 steps back to the street, 7 ascending from something deliberate, and emerged onto West Kinsey in the February cold. The cloud cover had cleared. Stars were visible now, more than the city usually permitted, the light coming through in thin, bright needles. Eleanor stood on the sidewalk and looked up at them for a long time. She could feel the money in the bag. She could feel the letter in her shoe, now less a threat than a document, a piece of paper representing a closed account. And she could feel the depth in things, the way the darkness between the street lamps was not simply absence of light, but presence of something older and more patient. the way the building behind her breathed with more than its ventilation, the way the city, for all its noise and industry and self-regard, rested on top of something that had been there long before it and would be there long after. She had known this in the abstract. Most people do. But now she felt it in the specific, in the bone, in the register of the body that does not traffic in abstractions. She began to walk, her heels on the pavement, regular, deliberate, moving forward. She walked the 9 blocks to Michigan Avenue in the cold, the stars maintaining their thin-needled presence above the city's ambient glow. At her room above the pharmacy, she took the letter from her shoe. She held it over the small candle on her night table and watched it burn. Paper burning, the soft crackle of it, a whisper of paper becoming something else. The bracelet caught the candlelight as she let the last of the ash fall into the ceramic bowl, and for one moment, just one, the light it threw was the color of the room during the dance, that amber, impossible warmth. Then the candle returned to its ordinary warmth, and the bracelet was just a bracelet, and the room was just a room, and Eleanor Wass was just a woman in a city at 1:30 in the morning, alive and in debt to no one. They say the dancery closed in 1929. Depression killed some clubs. Something else killed the dancery. Or perhaps it simply stopped being necessary in the way that certain thresholds become unnecessary once the thing they mark the crossing of has been fully crossed. Charlie Drum went on to record 12 albums, and the critics never agreed on how to describe his playing, settling finally on the phrase unnaturally intuitive, which is both accurate and entirely insufficient. Miriam became a doctor. She was very good at reading what the body knew before the mind caught up. And Eleanor Wass, she sang. A single piano chord, resonant, ringing in the darkness. Charlie's chord, the one from the dance, played as if from a great distance. It rings for a very long time. She sang in New York and Detroit and Paris and in rooms she would never describe to anyone. She sang as well as she had ever sung, and then she sang better. She never danced with anyone like that again. She never needed to. Some nights, in whatever city she was in, she would lie still in the dark before the morning came and feel the depth in things, that knowledge she had been given and could not return, the patience of what has always been, the particular weight of an evening when something real had happened and left its mark on everything it touched. She had paid for it in some accounting. She had paid fairly. And the music she made with the voice she kept, the voice that was always hers, untouched as promised, that music was the mark it left, the record of the transaction, translated into something the world could hold, which is perhaps the best any bargain can promise, which is perhaps what bargains have always been for. The piano chord fades very slowly, the last resonance of it dissolving into the ambient hum of everything, the wind, the suggestion of a city living its ordinary layered life, a woman breathing slowly in a dark room. The chord resolves into silence. The silence holds. One quiet heartbeat, and then nothing.
We agree on the duration
Good
and the
night.
structure. But the artistic direction, the singular voice of this project, is non-negotiable.